What the?
What is good, folks? I thought this would make some interesting... Excuse me. I'm a podcast guy. Usually I'm a self-improvement podcast kind of guy. But I came across this and I figured... Andrew Tate has a dummy beside him. He's probably going to do something funny. I figured this would be kind of interesting with Adam22 and Lena the Plug. Got all this drama stuff going on. And Andrew Tate is haram! You know, and... You know, he's like the... You know, he's like the role model male of the world right now. So, I thought this would be kind of cool, especially with Adin Ross being an instigator. So, I'm going to check this out and I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. Let's get it.
Lena, this... Adam, we can't hear you. Lena, this is my friend, I don't know if you've heard of him before. His name is Andrew Tate.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, right.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
That's good, yeah, good.
Lena, I can see you know, you have a black microphone in your face. It's very nice.
It was genius to put all of them on the same stream. It wouldn't shock me if this video got over 1 million views already, and it's been less than 24 hours.
Does it remind you of anything?
Andrew?
We have to be very careful with this conversation, and I'm going to explain why. Let's start by setting some ground rules, because it's very nice to meet these two people, and I've never met them in real life, and I believe in being respectful to everybody. That's who I am as a person. I believe in treating everybody with respect, and even if we're going to have an interesting conversation, we're going to have disagreements in this debate, perhaps, that might evolve, I'm not going to sit here and insult anybody. That's not who I am. So I know what you're trying to make me do, Adin. You're trying to make me say something.
He's already on what he's trying to do, so he can get some more views and money and stuff, you know.
Which could be deemed offensive, and that's not what I'm going to do.
I'm not sure.
Okay, we're all individuals.
Look at him smiling. You know what he's doing.
We can all make our own choices.
We have a lot more in common than we have separating us, because believe it or not, the Matrix has been out to get me too. So,
has it? Tell me how.
Oh, they've been trying to cancel me for years. All kinds of made up sexual assault bullshit and everything under the sun. The same exact playbook that they've been using to try to take you out the game. So you may disagree with some of our sexual proclivities, but believe me and Andrew Tate, we're victims of the same struggle. Shout out to Tupac.
And I think once you get to a certain level of fame and influence, every single man's going to be hit with this. I mean,
Facts. Literally every YouTuber I've watched over the years, they've all been hit with something, whether they made a mistake, whether they said the wrong thing on a stream or a video that got clipped by one of their fans and went viral somewhere else, or if they're just kind of deemed as a threat by people who don't like them with a lot of power. So then they do what they can to incriminate them, or just have a whole bunch of negative flung in their direction.
the reason Adin hasn't been hit by it is because it's just so unbelievable. Everyone knows Adin's fucking full of shit.
I literally have, though, bro. I got canceled like 30 times, bro. 30 times.
For hanging around with chicks? They said you like had sex with a girl or whatever. You got sexual assault.
No, nothing like that. Thank God I
haven't had that. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah, because everyone knows you're not getting laid, so that's fine. But when you're an actually high stake player.
Everybody, hold on, let me run that back. That was pretty funny.
For hanging around with chicks? They said you like had sex with a girl or whatever. You got sexual assault.
No, nothing like that. Thank God I haven't had that. That's exactly what I
mean. Yeah, because everyone knows you're not getting laid, so that's fine. But when you're an actually high status male, it's pretty clear.
What you
that happens.
Whatever, bro. Cool.
And so it can't be true.
Say again, sorry?
I know girls who have fucked Adin, so I don't think that's totally true.
What? How do you know this?
I know all about you, Adin.
Tell me all about Adin.
Bro, hey. What is this, bro?
I know like 10 trans chicks that Adin fucked.
Alright, see, now people are going to believe that shit. It's not true at all. Come on, bro. You know it's not true.
Adin?
Andrew, I swear to God, I've never fucked a trans girl before. All my life, I never will.
Let me tell you all a story. When I was about 25, I was living in Thailand. And I must be the only...
I've always wanted to go to Thailand. My cousin says I need to go. They say if you got like... You could have like $1,000 and you're basically rich in Thailand. Is that true? If you're from Thailand and you come across this, let me know. What was your Thailand experience like? Put your whole story in the comment section.
man who lived in Thailand because I was fighting. So I lived there for 2 years. And I lived there, and I must be the only man who lived in Thailand. I've never paid for sex, never slept with a prostitute, none of the weird shit. So I'm living in Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand's pretty infamous for that type of stuff.
And I had this Russian girlfriend, and then she went back to Russia, and I was a bit lonely, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try and get myself a new girlfriend. And by coincidence, the same day, I met this beautiful Swedish girl, and she was backpacking. And I met her, and I went up to her and started saying hello, blah, blah, blah. We agreed to go for a drink that night. After talking to her, I was walking home, and as I was walking, this transsexual who must have been about 55, 56, had a couple teeth missing, some man, clearly a man, I don't want to, misgender, clearly a man that was a transsexual was walking across the road from me, and he/she pointed at me and said, "Hey, I can tell by how you walk. You have a big dick."
What the fuck?
And I looked.
Oh my God! I was not expecting that. Oh my God, boy. Whoo! I was not expecting that at all. Oh man, I was not expecting that.
Back at this transsexual and thought, well, I'll take the compliment. And I said, yes, that's true. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, boy. I was not expecting that.
And I continued on my walk. That was the end of the story. Until 9 o'clock rolls around, I get on my motorcycle, I go down to this bar to meet this Swedish girl. I'm sitting there, I get drinks on the table. She turns up 20 minutes late, and I'm sitting there with the Swedish girl. And after an hour and a half of drinking and enjoying each other's company, I'd already kissed her twice. I was due to go back to her house because my house was a dump and she had more money than me. And we're going to go and stay at hers. When the transsexual walks in the bar, and in front of the entire bar, she walks in and points to me across the bar and goes, "Dick!" And the entire bar stops.
What
and
she
looks
say?
Big dick. She said big dick.
And the entire bar stops and looks at her, the old transsexual with missing teeth, and then looks at me. And I tried to explain for the following 10 minutes to this Swedish girl that I've never slept with this person. I don't know why she says I have a big dick, and I've never been with her, and I don't know, and I just saw her on the street. And she didn't believe me. She went toilet and never returned. That's a story from my lonely night in Thailand. That's true, and it completely happened.
You never give a ladyboy a shot?
I've never given a ladyboy a shot, no. Am I missing out, Adam?
I haven't done it either, but I went out to Thailand when I was like 19, 20, and the ladyboys are out there. And some of them, even back then, this was like 20 years ago, they were doing a pretty impressive ruse. Like, they looked like more of a woman than a lot of women that I know. So, shout out to them.
I've seen a lady kick the fuck out of a dude. It was a really interesting sight. He was saying some shit to her, running his mouth, and she literally fought like a man and beat the shit out of him. And it was pretty interesting to see. Heels on and everything.
All right, can I just address the elephant in the room? Why is nobody talking? Yo, so Lena, you just finished. I heard the video's going crazy on Pornhub. You guys crashed it.
It's on my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So, Adam, if you don't, I'm sorry, Andrew. What happened was this. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you heard, Andrew. They did a video. Basically, Adam and them, they're married. They've been married for a while. They have a beautiful family. And basically one day, they decided to, Adam said, "Hey, hun, you go ahead and get a BBC by this guy." So they had a big black. And so
the disgust on Andrew Tate's face, man. I didn't even want to watch this stuff, but
and
recommendations.
It was not in the video.
And that's
True.
pretty much what happened. And thoughts, Andrew?
Well, I think I mentioned this on one of my previous podcasts. I said that I wouldn't personally do that.
Bro.
But it's not my personal preference. But I want to make something clear. I
don't ever judge anybody for how they live their life. As long as somebody respects my lifestyle, I give them mutual respect as a human being. I'm not going to judge you for how you decided to live your life. My best friend could be an atheist, could be gay, could be a criminal that robbed 7 banks and they're on the lam. I might not be spending a lot of time with that person. You know, because I don't want to get caught up in whatever mess they've created, depending on whatever kind of lifestyle they're living. But, you know, that wouldn't stop me from having a conversation with said person, or going to Frankie's and like hopping on go-karts with the person, or, you know, or whatever, you know. As long as they respect the way I live my life, I respect the way they live theirs. As long as it doesn't, you know, as long as spending time with said person doesn't bring toxicity into my life. It's not, you know, I don't judge anybody.
Really careful about what I say to people. I don't want to insult anybody. That's not who I am as a person. If that's their personal decision to make, then they can make their own personal decisions and do as they please. I'm not here to sit and say they shouldn't do it. All I can say is that I wouldn't personally do that. That's not something I would allow my woman to do. But perhaps I'm missing something. Maybe you can tell me why I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
Would you guys let your wife do that?
The thing that the most important piece of context that is missing is the fact that we already had been doing porn for, I mean, maybe 5-6 years, or really since the very beginning of our relationship. And, you know, she is 32. She is a mother. Realistically,
she don't even look 32.
She's not going to be doing this forever. But we decided that it made a lot of sense for her to, you know, seize upon the moment, the fact that she's still got her youth about her, and for the fucking paper, man.
He liked it. He liked watching the video.
Yeah, I was kind of turned on by it. I'm not gonna lie.
So my question would be, sorry, one more time. Lena, right? Correct? Lena?
Lena, yes.
Lena, do you think that you have an emotional attachment to this man now, or like you literally wouldn't care what happened to him? Let's say, heaven forbid, something, I don't know, he got locked up and went to jail or something. Like, would you care, or would you literally, you have zero interest in him as an individual?
Feel for him as I would feel for like almost anyone I'd ever met who went to jail. But like, no offense, Jason, I see you as like a male sex doll. Like, you were just
no emotional attachment to him whatsoever?
No, this is where I have my emotional attachment.
Okay, well then, if you're capable of keeping that divide, then I'm not here to insult you. And the reason I don't insult people, I also want to make this very clear, because
I'm kidding.
Maybe it's just the life I've lived, but I think the internet has fucked the world up. And I think one of the ways it's messed the world up is that everybody's constantly running their mouths. And the world I'm from and the life I've lived, if you insult somebody, it's you have to be prepared to defend that opinion. And I know people who have run their mouths and end up getting shot for it. And I don't like to sit around and insult people unless I have a genuine beef with them. So I'm not here to judge you or your life. I can just say that it's not something I would personally do. Well, if you feel like you have no emotional attachment to the guy, I think that's a good thing. I think your heart should be in one place.
Andrew, objectively, you could definitely beat the shit out of me, but one time I was hanging out with the UFC fighter Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and he pulled up some old Andrew Tate kickboxing matches and was showing me them, and did a pretty good job of making the point of, this guy can't fight, which I am not in a position to judge, but I have had that experience where a former UFC champion has basically told me about what a bitch you are, which I don't agree with. I'm a fan of the Top G. I like everything that you're doing out
Yeah, I like the Top G. Top G lifestyle, that's dope. I like the Top G.
here, but I think you and Donald Cerrone need to settle this in the square circle.
Well, that's the thing about fighting, right? The thing about fighting as a sport is that everybody who watches it goes, this guy can't fight, or everyone at home who's never even fought says this guy can't fight, or...
Yeah, it really is a skill set. I've put on the gloves before, and it's a lot more tiring and a lot more skill than I expected it to be.
Fighters say this guy can't fight, which is why as a fighter you constantly feel like you have something to prove. Even if you win 100 fights in a row, there's always going to be someone out there who says you can't fight. I'd like to think that my record stands for itself. I've had 88 fights. I've had a bunch of fights, a 4-time world champion. I fought a bunch of rules, including MMA, and I did my very best, and I won a bunch of titles and made some money and beat a bunch of people. And of course, there's always going to be someone who watches me and says I can fight. There's a bunch of videos that say I can, and there's the odd idiot who says I can't. But I'm very happy with who I am in my career and what I've achieved, and I'm very confident in my abilities. So it is what it is. And as for Cerrone, I've heard of him. Didn't McGregor finish him pretty quick?
Wait, Chad, is he a good fighter? Yes or no?
Sure, but either way, we need to settle that score at some point. I just want to throw that out there. But
I don't know if we do. I don't know if I need, because and this is something I want to make clear as well. I don't know if I need beef with people on the internet. I see a lot of this. I see a lot of people constantly beefing each other.
Yeah, some people use the beef to make money for the most part, which is, since they're incentivized to go through with certain fights, they like try to push the envelope and try to get it going. Especially if they don't have that much clout, which is probably why Tommy Fury agreed to fight Jake Paul. But I honestly don't think that Andrew Tate needs to fight anybody. If he fights anyone, it's because he wants to do it, not because he needs to do it.
And all these arguments, etc. I don't need any of those things. I'm fighting against the judicial system. I'm fighting against the most powerful people in the world trying to silence me. I have enough battles in my life. I don't have time to be fucking tweet beefing with some dude. If he has a problem with me, he can come to my house. He knows where I am. Everyone knows where I am. Until then, I have no problems with anybody. So, as for Cerrone, if he thinks I can't fight, then if he wants to tell me to my face and kick my ass, he's welcome to try. And I strongly believe he would regret that decision. And that's as far as I need to take it.
Right. So your brother Tristan was in my DMs, like really sincerely trying to convince me that I have made a very grave error, a massive mistake as a result of having let my wife shoot with another man. Myself personally, having been, a couple weeks removed from the actual incident happening, I don't really feel like I made a mistake. It feels like some pretty regular porn
WT
shit.
in the chat, man.
I was a little bit jealous at first. It's kind of a weird feeling knowing that your woman was in the arms of another man, even if it was.
Well, I came across a video that popped up on my feed once, and it was some girl named Kissa, and she was married to a guy named Johnny. I guess he's like some sort of famous corn bald head dude or whatever. And she said that he had been doing this for like a decade or something like that. And she said even he could not stand the thought of another man putting their hands on her. Yet he gets to go out and, I don't know if he's still doing it or not, but he goes out and he's sleeping with all these different women almost for his job for I don't know how long or whatever while being married to this woman. So, I feel like any guy that would allow another man to put their hands on his woman is gonna, you're gonna feel some type of way about that. And no matter how much you say you're okay with it, or how much you say that it was just business or whatever it is, depending on your lifestyle, I don't agree with that. I think deep down, you regret letting something like that happen. If it was in your control. If it wasn't in your control, then maybe you need to reconsider who you're with. But that's just my personal opinion.
Only for a few hours. But it's interesting. You don't seem like you have as much of a real moral issue with the act itself.
Well, I can give you my opinion on why I wouldn't ever do it. And I think the reason I wouldn't ever do it is because I believe that a man and a woman have a connection between them, and I think that connection is solidified by sexual exclusivity from the female's part, and I believe there's an energy cord between. And I think that once that's broken with another man, I do believe there's a degree of the connection which is damaged. And I think that when the relationship is good, perhaps you will not feel it, but when the relationship is bad, or when arguments start to happen, or you start to get on each other's nerves, you might notice a slight difference in behavior, because I do also think that once the seal has been broken, I'll give you an example. The 4-minute mile was impossible to achieve, they believed, until one man ran the 4-minute mile, and then a bunch of people ran the 4-minute mile. So once the seal's been broken, for example, let's say your wife's sleeping with another man, the idea of sleeping with another man is not as intimidating as it was once was. And perhaps the idea of sitting through an argument or sitting through a rough patch in a relationship and continuing to try to work it out as opposed to just jumping on a new man, it might be less appealing than it once was previously. So I believe, personally, if my woman had already slept with another man, she's more likely to just give up on the relationship and sleep with another man again in a rough patch. That's my personal view.
Facts, chat. No.
Say again?
Why would I? I mean, I've never cheated on you, even in the lowest terms of cheating, responding to a DM from somebody or anything. I've never done any of that. Everything in our relationship has been out in the open. All my messages with the person that I worked with, I was like, hey, just so you know, these are the messages. Adam has fucked about 200 women in front of me, and he cheated on me. So,
Adam, that's terrible.
God damn, God damn,
We all got our issues. Hey, let me just tell you, about a half hour ago, I was laying on the floor in the adjacent office with.
I thought I heard something.
Well, my personal view is that it's very different for a woman than it is for a man, and I think that, and I hope I'm wrong, if your relationship reaches a rough patch, perhaps the idea of being with another man will be more tempting than it once previously was because the seal's already been broken. That's my personal view. I don't, with all due respect, care what you want to do with your own relationship. If it makes you happy, it should make you happy, and that's fine. And it's your decision to make. It's not my decision to make. I'm just telling you that I wouldn't do it. I can give you...
Even though Adam is an atheist, and even though he lives a certain kind of lifestyle that most people wouldn't agree with, one thing I do like, even though he's extremely firm in his own beliefs and how he lives his life, I do respect the fact that he's open-minded enough to at least hear people out before he gives his response. That's what I respect about Adam. He'll hear somebody out before he reacts. He's very he's a good listener. I mean, to be an interviewer, you got to be a good listener, but he'll always thoroughly hear someone out, instead of interrupting if he might not completely agree with something.
Admiration for a degree to how well you've dealt with the pressure, I guess, or the hate or the backlash. I mean, you've handled it pretty well, which I guess is good. Not a lot of people can do that. So I have to give you some degree of respect for that. But I guess you respected all that before you made the decision to do it, right?
Yeah, I did. And I mean, I've caught a lot of flack because when you first commented on me on the Tucker Carlson show, I left an Instagram comment that said, if he's the top G, I want to be the bottom G. So I do want to extend an invite that if you were ever interested in doing your first ever together, is that chill?
There's absolutely 0% chance of that happening. And it's not because Lena is particularly unattractive. It's because she's married to Adam, and I have no interest in degenerate, pointless sex, and I have no interest in making a spectacle of myself or even just involving myself in anything which I do. Saying that from a position of weakness. I'm saying it from a position of strength. I don't like talking about these things. I don't like talking about women getting fucked. I don't like talking about what I do with women. I don't like talking about any of it. I think that what I do in the bedroom with a woman who I care about should be
exclusive. I completely agree.
Degree sacred, and I think it should be completely private. Absolutely, and I don't want to hear about anyone else fucking. I want to make something clear to the. I don't watch porn. I've never bought an OnlyFans. I've never paid for sex. My relationship with sex involves love, and I don't think it should happen outside of love. And I think that's the way that sex should operate. And I think that when you decide, and once again, I could be wrong, when you decide to keep sex exclusively for love, there's something beautiful and special about it. And if you decide not to do that, then you keep chasing a new high. And you can have threesomes and fuck a bunch of girls. And I'm not saying I haven't done it, but eventually you're constantly just chasing a new high and you end up just doing something weird. Whereas if you just say, I only have sex with girls I love, then it's always special and it's always pretty sacred. And you get to just enjoy it that way. And beautiful children are birthed. And life goes on.
In maybe the last 5 years of our relationship, I can really only think of maybe 1 or 2 times that we've had sex with a girl off camera. For the most part, we are monogamous. We just fuck around on camera. And I think if anything, our realization is that the world is so extremely fascinated by a couple like us who are open-minded sexually because there's a lot of conversations about polyamorous relationships. And, in our case, I do think it's kind of disingenuous for everybody to act like we're in this crazy poly relationship when we actually are monogamous, besides on camera. But, I mean, for us, it's really like a porn thing. She shot this scene with this dude, as much as she may have enjoyed it or not enjoyed it. It was a money decision. It was like, oh, this is going to be a big move for my career and for our family. We're going to be able to retire off of this money. So that was the reason for it, not like, oh, I'm just dying to have it.
I understand, and I'm not a saint. I'm not saying you're setting your... I'm say I'm a saint. I'm not trying to talk from a position of authority, but I have...
Don't worry, I know who's at my back door. It's okay.
Perhaps, maybe it's my fight career, which Cerrone doesn't respect, or maybe it's something else, but I think that you can achieve a lot of happiness in life through actually reducing your exposure to certain things. I'll give you an example. I'm not particularly a foodie, but I will only eat once a day. Sometimes I don't eat for 2 or 3 days at a time, and that's the reason I love a steak. So right now I have unlimited sexual options because I am the top G and I'm the most famous.
Video, hold on. Let me see. Let me check this message real quick. Oh, okay. All right. That was my woman sending me a message letting me know that somebody was coming to, the neighbor was taking her kids to use the zip line in the backyard of the house. And that's fine. I was about done with that video anyway. But yeah, let me know what y'all thought about that down in the comments section below. I mean, me personally, if I got a woman, especially if I'm sharing a space with that woman, it's completely exclusive. I'm not sharing that woman with nobody. Ain't nobody else gonna be touching her. And if she decides to go out and do whatever she gonna do, she can get on up out of here. Whew. I might need to take a Tom or something. But yeah, that was Adin, Lena, and Adam. And the conversation did not go the way I thought it would, but I did get a pretty good laugh out of that. If there's any other videos you guys would like to recommend, put them down in the comment section below, and I might check them out. Who knows? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you stuck around with me this long. I appreciate y'all for watching, and you have a good one. What the